Yeah, this is Paul. I'm just sitting here visiting with a few people. And I got to thinking about the rights that are not being enforced. You remember that right to due process? That was violated on July 8th of 2011 when you issued a protection order where I was not given notice or opportunity to be heard. Yeah. Well, let's see, today's the 2nd, isn't it? Yeah. It's been 6 years since my wife abducted my sons. 6 full years. We were staying at the Guam Airport Hotel, and, Heidi had hit me, and she'd been married twice before, and I think she did understand the judicial system a little better than I did. I had never been through a divorce. I'd never wanted to go through a divorce. But she'd had a husband, her first husband, Bosma, and then her second husband, Tim Hodges, and I guess it'd been somewhat of an abusive relationship as she had explained it to me. But I thought we were all done with that. Turns out when she hit me, when she struck me, somebody decided that they were going to kidnap my sons and hold them hostage for 6 years. Now you can appreciate that as a father, when I inform law enforcement that the law requires that the respondent has to have actual notice and opportunity to be heard before you can issue a protection order, that the petitioner actually has to sign the document, that there can't be any forgeries on the documents. And you can't add any extraneous words. You actually have to fill out where it says petitioner, respondent, date of birth. You have to fill out court forms the way they're designed so as to protect the constitutional rights of Americans. Now, last night I was under hacker attack. It seems like those in the judiciary and those that are police officers and sheriffs that have any knowledge of cyber crimes think that it doesn't matter when you obstruct a citizen's right to communicate with those that are in law enforcement. It's kind of like a gangster telling his gangsters, well, we're going to mafioso a community, and since I'm in law enforcement, you can't do anything about it. But I'm that citizen that'll make you sell me everything you own at 60% discount of the actual market value. Pooch! You'll get 40% of what the value is if there's any cloud over any title of any asset. I'm that American citizen that will sue you for everything you own and put you in prison! Now it's been 6 years since my wife abducted my sons. Made up a story that I had committed domestic violence or child abuse when I hadn't. I spent 10 days in a Guamanian jail, and I tell you haven't been to jail until you've been to a Guamanian jail. They don't even have hot running water in their jail. And it is such that I've been to jail numerous times without there being any jurisdiction. Now, for every mafioso, those in the organized law enforcement crime fish family, it is such that we're going to run the United States according to the actual laws of the nation. Now, I know it's hard for you to believe that I would actually imprison every oath of office in the nation. All of those that have badges on, or those that are in law enforcement, every mandatory reporter that would not report missing and exploited children. Now, when you really start to think about the crime, it seemed that those in the organized crime fish family that decided that they were going to extort protection money, they were going to make citizens pay for what is free, and they weren't going to enforce the laws of the United States. Now I know I'm sitting here waiting for the enforcement of the law. And it seems like you think emails are not important. Now, when you allow for hacker attacks because the FBI doesn't want to enforce the cyber laws, and every agent of the FBI wonders why I sue them for everything they own, I go through every signature of every asset that's supposedly theirs, and if I find any signature that's a forgery because they're in the organized crime fish family, I'm going to have them sue that cloud over every title. To me, they're going to lose a whole lot of money, then I'm going to sue them for the money that they get from me. Pooch. Now, you're going to lose everything you own. You understand that now, don't you? The real laws of the United States are going to be enforced. And the fish family way of doing things, which is really organized crime, is going to go the way of the dinosaur. Now, I didn't want to get all prehistoric on the situation, but when you start looking at code, there's what's called the Code of Ethics, a system of rules governing moral principles and good conduct. Now, I've talked about official misconduct. That's when you have a legal duty to do something, and if you choose not to do what your official conduct requires, you find yourselves in the hands of the good hand people duct, usually formulated for a group of people or a profession. Congress and the legal and medical professions all have codes of ethics for their members. Now, let's say, okay, you're an attorney. You probably, well, you had to, as an obligation of employment, you had to become a member of a bar. You went to one of those ABA recognized schools. You went through the whole swearing that you would support the Constitution of your respective states and the United States. You said you would never leave a citizen defenseless or oppressed, and you would always operate your business according to the Code of Ethics. Now, I know there have probably been American citizens that had found an unscrupulous attorney, commissioner, judge, or justice that said, well, the Code of Ethics says that you have to do certain things, and when you don't, you can be disbarred. But as the citizen that sent you the email, I'm going to sue you for everything you own. Now, after 6 years of having my sons abducted and having sent hundreds of thousands of emails, having had probably more than 100,000 emails obstructed, it is such that every attorney that has become a member of every bar that does know of the code of conduct of being an attorney, once I find out that they decided they were not going to support the Constitution of their respective state, Article 3, the right to due process, and the United States Amendments 1 through 10, plus the other amendments outside of the Bill of Rights, I'm going to look at the code of ethics of every attorney. I'm going to drag them in court. And then I'm going to whip out the code of ethics, and I'm going to tell them, now, listen, you violated a lot of these code of ethic rules. Now we're going to run the United States according to the laws. And every person's going to do everything ethically. And you're going to enforce the laws, and you're not going to involve yourselves in any misconduct. Okay?